So, run 2 yoga blocks if you have them. And we are going to get started today on our back. So come onto your back. Bring the soles of your feet together, knees out wide, and have a lot of space between your heels and your upper body. Place one hand on your heart and one hand on your stomach. And slow down the rhythm of your breath. See if you can find a wave-like pattern in your breath, where you're expanding both the belly and the chest. And then slow down your breath even more. See if you can create a long enough breath so you inhale all the way until you actually reach the fullest breath that you can take. And you'll know you'll hit it because there'll be an instinctual pause, a moment of complete stillness. And then do the same with your exhale. Slowly empty all the air out. Keep breathing out until you finally reach the pit of your exhale, and you'll feel just a pause at the end of your exhale. Take just a few more breaths, just noticing the effort that it takes to maintain this breath. This is the effort of mindfulness. One more full breath. Slowly slide your knees together. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Place your hands on your knees and just gently circle your knees around. And as you do, allow the top of your glutes and low back to get a gentle massage. Reverse the direction of the circle. And then move your knees in opposite directions, away from one another and together. And reverse. And as you move, picture your thigh bones spiraling around in the hip sockets. Knees come back together. Plant your feet flat on the ground, hip distance apart. Ground into the soles of your feet, from pinky edge side of your foot, especially into the big toe side of your foot. And then pull the pit of your belly in. Curl your tailbone up off of the mat. Let your ribs draw down so that you curl and round up through the mid-back. And then keep rolling up until you feel extension through your chest and upper back. Not your highest bridge where there's too much effort, just a gentle extension of the spine. And then stretch your arms over your head. Take a deep inhale. And then can you drop down from right behind your heart? Let your front ribs push down into your back ribs so you ground into your mid-spine. Scoop your belly out so you feel the vertebra of your lumbar spine ground. Let your tailbone drop last, and then tip the front of your hips towards your feet so you create a natural arch in your lumbar spine. Pull your belly in, tuck your tailbone. So you feel the low back grounded at first, and then you just pluck one vertebra at a time up off of the mat. Creating extension in your spine, not the fullest, but just a gentle opening, and then reach your arms all the way back. Right between your shoulder blades, drop down. Think of deflating the front body so that the back body gets a sense of grounding. Once your tailbone drops, anterior tilt in the pelvis, so your tailbone really grounds, your low back lifts up away from the mat. And then last time, pull your belly in. Roll your spine all the way up. Stretch your arms up over your head. And then drop down. So this is a great alternative to cat-cow. Cat-cow can be a little bit more accessible, but this really gives that tangible sense since you have the floor beneath your spine, so you can feel the work of extension and flexion. Arch your back as your hip bones tip forward, and then exhale, release. Bring your knees once again in towards your chest, gently rock side to side. And then roll all the way to one side. Push yourself up into a comfortable seat. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Push the back of your head into your hands. Keep your shoulders down. Let your elbows broaden. Breathe now all the way into expansion of your chest. As you exhale, wrap your forearms around your ears. Tuck your chin. Pull your ribs in, pull your belly in, and roll down, flexing your spine. Roll yourself up. Big inhale as you open. Exhale. Curl your elbows in, roll yourself down. 2 more times, roll up. Big breath, open up. Exhale, wrap your elbows in and roll down. 1 more time, feel the extension, spine opening. Exhale, spine flexing. Roll yourself all the way up to a seat. Exhale, release left fingers down, and then lean your right elbow up and over to the ceiling. Over to the left side, and then think of stretching from your upper arm bone as you anchor into your right sit bone. Breathe into the right side waist. Hold here for a few breaths. Can you breathe big enough, mindfully enough, that you hit that peak pause at the top of your inhale? And then a pause at the end of your exhale. One more breath. Remember, there's effort in mindfulness. It's unseen. So really, this is something that you take upon yourself. Come back up through center. Bring your left hand behind your head. Right fingertips come down to the ground and lean up and over. This effort will only be known to you by the experience. So these are the subtle practices in yoga. They're not so big that if someone looking could see this big shift, but you'll be able to feel breathing in, and only you know when you've taken your fullest inhale. Experience the natural pause. It doesn't have to be forced. It's just there. And the same with your breath out. One more, even more mindful breath. Good. Come back up to center. Place your hands behind you as you release your legs. Extend your left leg all the way out. Hug your right knee in towards your chest, but keep some space between your left leg and your right foot. And keep some space between your right heel and your glute. So you want your right foot to have a sense of anchoring. If you're too close, you might not feel the weight on your right foot. So farther away so you can actually push down into it. Lift up tall. Now the key to a twist is to get it into your upper spine so you can start to add some movement into the inherently more stable part of your spine, the upper spine where the ribs attach. To do this, stay anchored through your left sit bone by pulling your left thigh bone back into it. So keep that sense of your left thigh pulling back as you wrap your left arm around your right knee. Place your right fingertips behind you with a strong right arm. Drag your shoulder blade down. Think of pushing down through your left sit bone as you lift your chest tall. Then breathe in. And as you exhale, let your spine get taller, gaze taller, and gently rinse out your upper back. Breathe in. Exhale, slowly twist. One more time, breathe in. Exhale, feel the belly, the ribs deflate. Keep breathing out until you can't breathe out anymore and there's a moment of pause in the breath. Unravel to center. Place your hands behind you, bend your left knee, and cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Now, the closer your hips are to your left heel, the more intense this stretch is going to get. Find a balance. There's a perfect balance in every posture. Again, this is a more subtle part of the practice. Only you'll know where that balance exists, and you'll have to experience feeling that out. Build your intuition around it. So if you aren't feeling enough sensation, just scoot your hips closer to your heel. There we go. That's good enough for me. And then you can always refine the posture. Flex your right foot. Ground through your left foot. Lift your chest up taller. Like you're lifting the weight of your upper body out of your hips. And now once again, if it helps to close your eyes, but imagine the right thigh bone spiraling so much externally in the hip socket that you feel your knee float away from your chest. As your knee floats away from your chest towards the top of the mat, think of reaching your chest taller and even open more. And then breathe. Let your inhale expand your belly, your chest. If you keep breathing in and the diaphragm stretches and the breath gets fuller, maybe you can even feel the breath helping to open your right hip. And then as you exhale, you just take your time. You're slowly pulling the air out. You breathe slow enough, then you might not even shift all the space that you created with your breath in, right? It's like you just gently pull the air out. The posture stays the same with the amount of space created in the inhale, and you just feel a sense of release and relief as you breathe out. Take 2 more big breaths here. Now separate your hands out wide with your fingertips turned towards the back of your mat. Yeah. And then ground into your left foot, ground into your hands. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, lift your hips all the way up. Reach your head back, take a full breath. As you exhale, straighten out your left leg. Sweep your hips back to sit in between your wrists. Straighten out your left leg, sit tall. And then hinge forward over your left foot. These first few movements, go easy on yourself. We're just starting to wake up the body. Done a lot with the spine already in the chest. Now we're getting deeper into the hamstrings. So try not to tense up to achieve some sort of depth in the posture. Instead, close your eyes, listen to your breath. Put the effort into those more subtle parts of the practice. Full breath in, reach the peak of your inhale. Slow breath out, hit the pit of your exhale. Slowly roll yourself up to a seat. Hug your right knee in. Let the sole of your right foot come to your left inner thigh. Place your right fingertips behind your back. Point your left toes. And then roll up onto your right shin. Lift and open your hips. Allow your head to drop so heavy back that it actually helps to open your chest even more. Big inhale. Exhale, slowly lower your pelvis. Bring your left forearm to the inside of your left shin and side bend up and over your left leg. Inhale, right arm reaches up. Place your right hand behind you. Roll onto the top of your right shin. Stretch your left arm to the back of the mat. Head drops. Inhale. Exhale, slowly lower your hips. Left forearm drops to the inside of your left shin. Lean up and over. Lift yourself up through center. Pull your right knee in and extend your right leg straight out to the top of your mat. Switching sides, hug your left knee in. Place your left foot flat. Space between your left foot and your right leg. Space between your left heel and your sit bone so that you can push down into your left foot. There's the grounding on the left side. Flex your right toes. Draw your right foot back towards your body to sit up even taller. And then wrap your right arm around your left knee. Left fingertips come behind you. Keep your chin in line with your sternum, so try not to overreach with your neck. Keep your gaze right in line with your chest. And then use the breath to create a very subtle movement of twisting through your upper spine. One more deep breath. Take your time, fill up. The movement is usually in those last few effortful moments of a breath. And the same with your breath out. Untwist your upper body. Feel the spine rotate back to neutral. Pull your left knee in even more. Place your hands behind you. And then cross left ankle over your right thigh. And then find your space here. Find how much sensation you need to help anchor the mind. So the mind anchors through our sensations, but not so much that it's causing you pain or causing you to lose mindfulness in your breath. Right, often if we over effort with the body, all of our energy is going there and we've lost our sense of breath practice. So find a balance for both. And when they're balanced, since the mind moves anyways, the mind will have these 2 points of sensation and effort to toggle back and forth between. From the body to the breath, from the body to the breath. Soften your outer left hip so much so that your left knee draws away from your chest. But then lift your shoulder blades, draw your shoulders down to lift your chest higher, like your chest is moving towards your left shin. Create space at the sides and back of your neck. One more big breath. Okay, make sure that your hands are wide. Turn your fingertips towards your hips this time. This will give you a little bit more grounding space. Push into your right foot. Curl your hips up. Open your hips. Open your chest. Work in your shoulders. Drop your head. Full breath. Think of creating a neutral spine, a long spine. As you come down, start to straighten out your right leg. Swing your hips in between your hands and forward fold over your right leg. Take a couple more breaths here. Breathing into expansion of your low back, your hips, mid back and upper back. Roll yourself all the way up to a seat. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. Place your foot down and peel your knee open. Sole of your left foot against your right inner thigh. Place your left hand behind you. Let your left shoulder draw down as you roll yourself up. Stretch through your right hand. Soften your neck so your head drops heavy. Exhale, release your hips down to the mat. Bring your right forearm to the inside of your right shin. Lean your left arm up and over. Left arm reaches up. Place it behind you. Scoop your hips up. Open your hips. Open your chest and your spine. Breathe in. Exhale, release your hips all the way down. Lift yourself up through center. Extend out both legs straight out in front of you. Full breath in. Soften your knees with a micro bend or even a big bend, and then hinge forward. Lengthen out your low back. Fold a little softer and deeper. Roll your spine all the way up to a seat. Cross your ankles and come forward into a tabletop position. Cow pose as you inhale. Round your spine into cat. And keep moving back and forth between the two and see if you can feel that you're moving one vertebra at a time. One more full breath. Take neutral spine and then extend your legs, shift your hips forward and lower all the way down to your stomach and your chest. Reach your arms out to the side onto fingertips. With an inhale, draw your shoulders down, lift from the back of your head and open up your chest. Exhale, roll your spine all the way down through center and drop your head. Breathe in, roll your spine up. Keep breathing in until you hit that pause of breath. Exhale, slowly roll all the way down. One more time, inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Place your hands by your side, push yourself up to your knees. We're gonna come into puppy pose here, and if you have blocks or some sort of props, we'll use them, I'll use them, and if you don't have them, you can still do this posture without the props. So if you do have the props, they're gonna go underneath your elbows and your upper arms. Make sure to keep your hands wide. Now in puppy pose, you want the weight of your hips behind your knees, so try not to stack them or bring them forward. This is going to be a lot of opening for your shoulder flexion, for your upper spine and your chest. Since we're opening the upper body, we don't want the weight grounding into it. We want to keep them light, so this shift of the hips back will keep this range of motion relaxed. So hips behind your knees, but floated off your heels, so not quite a child's pose either. And then separate your arms wide so that your chest can sink down. You might feel a sense of buoyancy if you're not touching the ground, and that's perfectly fine. Bring your chin or your forehead to the mat. And you can either keep your arms extended or bring your hands into prayer behind your head. And then we'll give ourselves a moment just to refine the energy of how we're holding the posture once you're down there. See if you can release any sense of pushing your legs or hips forward. And allow the low belly, your low back, your glutes to soften like they're just melting towards the back of your mat. And take a moment to anchor into that sensation. So an ease of the lower body towards the back of your mat, pulling all the weight in that direction. And as you soften into it, that becomes your foundation. Now, can you keep the foundation stable, right? Even though it's relaxed, let it be just stable, anchored into your mind from sensation. Now allow your breath to gently guide length into the side body, in through your spine. That should be accessible. Once you get a sense of that, we move into more subtle sensations, a mindful breath. So that full breath until you naturally hit a pause at the peak should add some gentle movement, awareness within the shoulder blades, deep in the armpits, through the upper body. That little bit of movement with your breath in the upper body will help to further release any muscles that are holding on. It's like a little massage pushing through any points that are stuck. A few more deep breaths here. This can be a very intense physical sensation. If it is, that's fine. Know your limits, but also know that shifting the awareness from a possible space of discomfort into the ease and control of your breath will help you find freedom within the pose. On your next breath, lift yourself up. Bring your knees together. And then sit back, hips to heels. Reach your arms back beside you. Palms up towards the ceiling for a rock pose. Let the heads of your shoulders roll forward into like they're touching the floor. Breathe into the flexion of the upper spine. Take one more deep breath. On your next breath, push yourself all the way up. Downward facing dog. And so, notice the similarities with the way that your shoulders feel from puppy pose to down dog. Same amount of shoulder flexion, but now you're just asking your shoulders to bear some weight. So you should strengthen around this point of flexibility you just created by pushing through your arms, squeeze your forearms together, and roll your upper arm bones away from your ears so your upper back gets broad. Curl your tailbone up towards the ceiling so that the weight of your lower body is reaching in one direction away from the floor. Allow your heels to reach towards the mat. Take a deep breath. Lift your heels, tiptoe your feet up towards your hands at the top of your mat. Place your right fingertips either on the floor, or if you have a block, you can use a block. Bend your right knee. Move from the left shoulder blade to lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Big breath, rinsing out your spine. Exhale, release your right fingertips down. Stay strong through the right palm and your, that's the left arm. And then reach your right arm up towards the ceiling as you bend your left knee. Reverse, right fingers down, bend your right knee, inhale your left arm all the way up. Exhale, switch, left fingertips down, bend your left knee, inhale your right arm peels open. Release, grab opposite elbow, ragdoll pose. Soften now into shoulder flexion. Soften your spine and your neck. There's always mental space to slow down the breath. Melt your hands towards the floor. And on your next breath, slowly stack your spine all the way up to stand. Big inhale, stretch your arms up towards the ceiling. Sweep your arms behind you. Grab onto your left wrist with your right hand and move your left wrist over towards your right glute like you're pulling your arm down. Anchoring your left shoulder down away from your ear, drop your chin to your chest. Roll your right ear to your right shoulder. Close your eyes and imagine your left collarbone is melting down towards the floor. And then stretch your right side of your jaw away from your collarbone. Three more breaths. Release your hand, both arms reach up, big inhale. Exhale, bring your hands by your side, catch hold of your right wrist. Slide your right wrist over to your left glutes, your left hip. Pull your right shoulder blade down your spine, but keep your spine and chest neutral. Drop your chin to your chest and roll left ear to left shoulder. Again, soften the muscles around the collarbone so it melts down, and then gently reach the right side of your jaw in the opposite direction. Bring your chin to your chest, big inhale, reach your arms up towards the ceiling, mountain pose. With an exhale, soften your knees, forward folds. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine with an inhale. Plant your hands and step back into high plank. Drop your knees down to the mat. Cow pose as you breathe in. Sit back into child's pose as you breathe out. Rise to downward facing dog. Big inhale. Exhale, step your feet to your hands. Slow down your breath. Halfway lift, breathe in. Forward fold, breathe out. Rise slowly up to stand. Big inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. We're going to do 2 more sunays like this. Can you create enough effort and thoughtfulness in the breath that it feels as though the breath is leading the way in these movements, not the body? Inhale to reach your arms up. Keep reaching the more you breathe in until you hit that pause. Exhale, slowly forward fold. Keep breathing out all the way to the pit of your exhale. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen your upper back, lengthen the back of your neck. Exhale slowly as you step back, high plank. Bring your knees down, inhale, cow pose. Open your collarbones, open your chest. Exhale, sit back into child's pose. Deep breath in. Full breath out. Downward facing dog, big inhale. Walk your feet to your hands, the length of your breath out. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Keep folding, keep exhaling. Find that pause at the end of breath. Rise up, mountain pose. Breathe in. Exhale your hands to your heart. One more, inhale, mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back to high plank. Bring your knees down, cow pose. Take your time to move. Child's pose, exhale. Now, slow down the breath even more. Usually it's those last few moments of breath that we speed up and force a pause. Slow down until you breathe all the air out and the pause comes naturally. On your next breath, rise up to downward facing dog. Stretch your right leg up towards the ceiling, bend your knee and peel your hip open. Exhale, bring your knee to your chest, step your foot between your hands, drop your left knee down. Slow breath to rise up, Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Exhale, release your hands to the mat. Lift your left knee, breathe in. Downward facing dog, breathe out. Inhale, your left leg lifts. Bend your knee and open your hip. Exhale, pull your knee in towards your chest. Step your foot between your hands, lower your right knee down. Inhale, reach up, Anjaneyasana. Slow down the breath, exhale, hands to the floor. Inhale, lift your right knee. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a big breath in. Slower breath out, calm the mind, focus it to create length in the breath. Inhale. Walk your feet up towards your hands as you exhale. Lift halfway, breathe in. Forward fold, breathe out. Mountain pose, inhale. Hands to your heart. Separate your feet hip distance. Reach your arms forward and bring your right elbow under your left elbow, eagle arms. So you can use a variation of spiraling your palms together, bringing the back of your hands together, or just grabbing opposite shoulder. Choose which is accessible. There's much more to the pose than just this variation. Keep the back of your neck long and take a slight upper back bend by creating your own resistance, elbows up, shoulder blades down. Exhale, pull your elbows in toward your chest, round your back, bend your knees, and roll all the way down. Soften around the shoulder joint so that your elbows start to reach towards the floor and your armpits open up a little bit more. Negotiate the space for your head and neck to drop completely. As you bend your knees deeply, feel the length growing through your lumbar spine. And once you've created the pose, consider that the pose works for itself. Take effort, the effort of the mind. Bring it into your breath. One more. Can this be the perfect unit of breath? Perfectly present to its length, its inherent point of stillness, both at the peak of the inhale and the pit of the exhale. Keep your knees bent and push through your feet to roll your spine up. Use your core. Lift your elbows, very slight upper back bend. Unravel your arms, sweep them up, big breath in. Left elbow under your right elbow, eagle arms. Shoulder blades plugged down to lift your chest. Breathe into the mid-back. Exhale, roll all the way down. Soften the shoulder joint. Soften your neck. Soften your face. Become absorbed in the sensation and the details of your breath. Just one more breath. Keep your knees soft. Use your feet and your core to slowly roll your spine up to stand. Unravel your arms. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale your hands together at your heart. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, forward folds. Halfway lift, breathe in. Step back into high plank. This time bring your knees down, your stomach and your chest. Take either cobra or up dog. Big inhale. Downward facing dog. Use your knees to get back there. Curl your sit bones up tall like you're pulling the weight of your pelvis out of your low back. Slowly draw your knees down to the mat. Come into a seat. Okay, so we're going to take a restorative posture. You will need props for this. So get creative. There's lots of ways to find the same intention and work for a pose with different variations and different props. So I have 2 blocks here. One is going to be quite tall. That's going to be for my head. It's going to be specifically for a neutral neck. So a lot of times we crunch the back of our neck. I'm going to place the block at the low back part of like the base of my skull so that the back of the neck is long. This second block is at a medium height, so it's a little bit lower than this back one. And that one's going to go in between my shoulder blades. Not only between my shoulder blades, but I'll squeeze my shoulder blades together before I lay back so that they hug in and keep the chest propped nice and open, helping support the extension of your spine. So we're going to hold this for a little bit longer. I know that it will take some time to finesse not only your props, but how you approach them. I like to kind of do a little mini trust fall with myself. And then just feel that your shoulder blades, the prop is supporting your upper back, and the other prop is supporting the base of the skull, so much so that your chin slightly tucks. So once you find this position and create it, really the lower body will be superficial, legs straight, knees bent, knees dropped in, knees dropped out. You can play around with what feels best to support your low back. And then the upper body you can refine to create levels of intensity and sensation. Hands closer to your hips will be the softest. And as you reach your arms all the way out or even behind you, you're coming into a greater range of motion. So find your position. If you're not sure, you can choose mine. I like to have my feet wide, knees dropped in so my tailbone feels really anchored. And then I like to have my hands out to a T, so just kind of mid-range of sensation. Once you've settled into your space, we're going to hold this for just a little bit longer, a couple minutes here. So now that you're in your posture, slow down your breath. See if you can reach those natural points of stillness at the peak of the inhale and exhale. And then add some intention to those natural points of pause. Hold them for just a couple moments longer. So you're inhaling as slowly and as fully as you can until you hit a pause, and then you're holding on to that pause of breath. And same with the breath out. You're breathing all the air out until you hit a natural pause. And then intentionally holding the pit of your exhale for a few moments. Now, if you find that this breath work is a challenge, most likely it's not physically a challenge for you or having to do with your lung capacity. It often has to do with the busyness of the mind. Know that that's part of it. When we still ourselves and we settle into a focused intention, it will often highlight the movement of the mind. So what can help is to just hold your breath longer The mind anchors in effort and in challenge. So hold your breath until you find that you're fully thinking about holding your breath. A few more moments here. At this point in time, if you've kept with the effort of your breathing, you're beginning to create the space for meditation to arise. Not only internalizing the awareness, but helping to using the breath to really get your awareness absorbed internally, which takes a deep level of concentration. Release the breath retention. Come into an effortless breath as you make your way out of the posture. You can roll to one side, or you can use your core to curl yourself all the way up. Move the blocks off to the side, the props off to the side. Plant your feet, reach your arms forward, and slowly roll your spine down. Supported bridge pose. Bring a prop underneath your hips so that your hips are higher than your hearts and they're open. Variations, it's not so much about the upper body this time, but lower body, so your arms are quite superficial. Just land them where they're comfortable. And maybe you want to extend one or both legs. We'll hold here for 1 minute. Right away, start to practice intentional breath retention. This practice not only helping to strengthen concentration, but also it uses concentration to activate it. So the effort that you're putting in with the concentration, you're immediately receiving if you continue it. If you're doing one leg, just switch your legs. About 30 more seconds. Keep adding length into your breath and into your holds. Ground your left foot or whatever leg was extended, and then push your feet down, squeeze your glutes so that you're supporting the lift of your hips. Remove the prop, slowly roll your spine all the way down. Extend your legs either straight out or soles of the feet together, knees wide for Shavasana. Once you're settled into stillness in your Shavasana, slow down your breath. And then together, let's take a long inhale. And now hold your breath. See if you can hold your breath as long as possible, and then a little moment past that. Hold your breath until you're focused on nothing else except the act of holding your breath. Slow down your exhale. Hold at the pit of your exhale. When you've held long enough that you feel your focus absorbed in that hold, release the breath. Release all effort. And land in your Shavasana just as it is, just as you are. Stay in your Shavasana as long as you like today, as long as you afford yourself. Thank you for joining me on your mats. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.